amazing audience. We are live with no other than Randy Redhead.
How are you, sir?
I am excellent, aka cousin Randy Redhead. It's a great pleasure to have this, what I would call my final conversation on this trip, right? As a marker of 12 weeks of journeying across the US and Canada. And today, they don't have the opportunity to smell what we're smelling,
right.
but the air is infused with the cooking of Beruz, which is your wife,
right.
And your son is holding on, Neelan, right?
Yes.
Very tightly, right, to his mother. And I know why, because she is the cook of such good smelling food. So that's amazing. But do tell us, which of your talents, if you had to sum them up, is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Ooh, one with specific talent? Well, I'd say the specific talent of just being born around amazing people, having the fortune to have, a stellar family, and everywhere I go, I seem to magnetize myself towards just incredible people.
Who did you learn that from?
I don't know. I think it's the tradition of our ancestors, right? Our culture, Trinities, right? So, yeah, anywhere you go, Trinities are always welcomed warmly by everybody.
It's amazing, right? So, like one of my friends who works in the oil industry, he said that Trinidadians are now implanted in places where they can help other cultures join on rigs, right? Where you're having that melting pot occurring, and the Trini comes in, and he's actually the person that keeps them together, multiple cultures, and that's fascinating. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, that's why you're probably doing what you're doing. It's like, that's super cool. But why will you continue to repeat that skill of being that person, true Trini to the bone? Why will you continue being that person?
I feel that humanity craves unity, right? And so there's something about people that are able to bring other elements together. And it's evident in every aspect of my life, right? So I love to public speak. I started out as a DJ when I was 13, and I moved on to doing music production. All of those things encompass bringing various elements and people together to work in harmony. So I think human beings really crave being harmonious, because everything in the world is like on a rhythm, right? I
love that. Now, talking about rhythms, there's something that I've heard called red prime, right?
Prime red, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Tell us more about that, please.
So Prime Red is my artist name. I rap and produce hip-hop music, but I think it's pretty eclectic, and it's a little bit cleaner than probably most hip-hop music that most people are used to, but I think it encapsulates a lot of the influences I've had. My parents, obviously being from Trinidad, they listen to calypso and soca music, parang, and and outside of that, R&B music and reggae. I'm a big, from way back when. I'm an old dub head. And so I think you hear a lot of that sounds, and then where I grew up in Amish country in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, you can hear a lot of the country and the prog rock and the rock sound to my music.
Which is cool, which is super cool. Now, I listened to the entire album. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Highly endorsed. It's very clean, which is good too.
Right.
It's like you can listen to this with the children.
Right.
And not be worried, like, is he, will it have, and I loved it. I'm very proud of what you produced there. Interestingly enough, we are on something red, right? Yeah, prime red, right? So where can I get more of that music if someone's listening?
Right. So my music is available Spotify, iTunes, CD Baby. You can find all of it on YouTube as well. Basically now with the modern online music distribution, once you put it one place, it's throughout.
Understood. Where did the name Prime Red come from now?
So originally I went by Prime, but there's a million artists who go by Prime.
Right.
So I added the red because of my last name being Redhead.
Well, red does, I'm looking around now, I'm seeing red everywhere. But what's one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
One thing I've done consistently over the last 3 years, I'd say, so we talked about speaking, right? Both my wife and I are active volunteer leaders in an organization called SGI USA. So one thing I've consistently done is, strive to reach out and foster youth. So having dialogue with people, speaking about different perspectives on life and spirituality and so on and so forth, and my other passion really in life is just talk. I mean, my wife, we have interesting discussions because she says, there are times where I'm very quiet and I'm sitting on the couch and by myself, and she's like, what do I need to get you to talk? Do I need to put a microphone in your hand and bring a group of people? So yeah, that is something that I consistently do is speak to large groups of people.
How does that make you feel?
I feel like I found my voice there. It's one of the first areas of my life that I found confidence. I grew up very shy. My brother is very outgoing and extroverted, and I was very introverted. But I remember I had one class, I'll never forget it. It was in the 8th grade, and I was supposed to give a presentation on the bubonic plague. And I went up there, and all I did was talk for a long period of time. It wasn't even as if I spoke very well. But when I sat down in my seat, someone just whispered in my ear and said, wow, you did a really good job. And from that moment, it sparked the confidence in my life to further pursue that and sharpen that talent.
That's amazing. Why will you continue to repeat that skill? Or why would you even suggest to others that they do what you've done by converting that introversion to extroversion to help others?
I think that we are given characteristics, or we're given, our so-called weaknesses that we have, or our shortcomings, are opportunities for us to grow and develop, even if we don't become a master in that area or field. I think if you can work on your weaknesses or the things that you're afraid of, you really unlock a very, just an incredible power in your life. So it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, I have a terrified fear of heights. I don't think I'm going to parasail or do anything like that anytime soon. But a lot of people fear communication. And I think the other thing too is human beings. One thing that separates us, among other things, from animals and a lot of other things in the world is we have this ability to have conscious thought and convey those ideas and thoughts to other people, like what you're doing right now, right? You've gone across all these various lands and cities and towns, and you've talked with people, and just the ambition to do that, just the energy to do that is changing the world. What you're doing is historical.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's historical that I ended right here.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And again, the food, Peru's. All right, well, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. What is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, I've thought about this. It's like, I don't know if I can answer this question. One of them being, I remember there was an apartment, it sounded like a townhouse that my parents, and the whole family, we lived in Brooklyn, Canarsie, Brooklyn. And I remember just the outside, the backyard, well, it wasn't a yard, but like the backyard staircase to it and the driveway. And my mom wearing this yellow hat and this big puffy yellow sweater. I think she still has the picture of it. And I just remember her hugging me in that place. But that's one of my earliest.
That's interesting. How old were you?
I'd have to be around 4 or 5, I'm going to say.
Why do you think that memory is so clear?
I don't know. I think maybe the vivid colors of it. And I just think of the relationship I've been able to cultivate with my parents.
That's good.
And my mom. So.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I just think about every time I come home and I see my wife and I see my son. No matter what the day was like, and I get home and I'm able to embrace them.
That's good. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind? Can I?
Sure.
I love the fact that yellow, if you would, represents the sun. And the sun is something that is consistent and persistent. It's the one thing that you get up. It's like the marker for the day. Seeing that you're working as hard as you are, and that you connect to coming home and doing what you need to do to go again. I just love the yellow in it. That represents that repetitive love. Yeah? And yellow is a really nice contrast to prime red as well.
The interesting meta there is yellow and white were our wedding colors.
Interesting.
And
there
our
we
favorite
go.
colors, apparently.
There we go. Love it. Yeah, it's amazing how it connects across time. It's amazing. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, my favorite song was 12. Man, I'd probably be like Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On.
Yeah. Well, usually, I connect the song to who you are. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll leave it to its own.
It was a big record. I think the reason why that song comes to mind, again, that was around the time that I made the determination to become a DJ. And the sound was very different. As with music production, there's always a kind of a change in what's the trend. And so Timberland and Missy Elliott started the trend of people sampling, Asian sounding, Indian sounding, or that kind of sound, and incorporating it with hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that song came out, a lot of songs with that similar, kind
That's
of
intriguing.
came
You
out.
have sampled Indian style music as well, haven't you?
Right.
Both figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Interesting.
Yeah.
I love how it connects. All right, my friend, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. Are you ready?
Sure.
Have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not at this time.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
It's a binary question. I don't know how I can answer that in one word, but I'd say for our purposes, I would say yeah.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Oh, depends.
All right. What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Randy Redhead, aka Prime Red, what would you say that is?
That I am a bodhisattva of the earth, and that I am a envoy of the great universal spirit.
Love it. Randy Redhead, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Amazing audience. I would just like to share that, what you've done. I know I talked a little bit about it, but I've kind of chronicled and followed you as much as I possibly can, and I really admire you, and I'm so honored. My wife and I are so honored to host you here at the end cap of your trip. And I really hope that for all of those, just knowing that, sometimes a video may have no views or may have a lot of views, but we live now in this everlasting stream of content, right? Where somebody has to catch one episode of your conversations, and then they have a whole library, thousands of conversations that they can dig into. You have created a lasting foundation for, eternal legacy of these conversations, of this dialogue. So all the great men I know, or all the great people that I've known, have the ability, the one skill to dialogue with another human being. So with that, sir, I admire you, I look up to you, and I really appreciate you sharing your time, you and your wife, working in tandem as a team, and every sacrifice that you made to make this trip possible. The amount of thought and calculation and planning that had to go into this, it could not account for it. So I know we're at time, but
no, you're good. You're good. I appreciate that. We're at time. Time is limitless. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Randy Redhead, folks. Got chills there. I got chills. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Did you have fun?
Yes. Yeah. Now you got to eat 12 minutes or less.
No!